Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. We are thrilled to have you here, whether you're watching or listening on any of our platforms around the world. Happy Friday, happy Saturday. Our show today is coexistence and sustainability. And our topic is celebrating Earth Day 2024. Joining me is the star of our show, pet psychic Aminah. Not only is she a pet psychic, she is someone who cares deeply about this planet and about coexistence for all creatures, big and small. She's also a keynote speaker and a trainer, and she's the person to turn to when you have questions about your pets. Let's welcome her to the program. Hello.
Thank you. What a fabulous intro.
You are most welcome, my friend. You're out there in the great state of California. What is it like today?
Sunny.
And
you could add your place sunny with moisture.
That's right. It is absolutely outstanding today. It's about 93 degrees Fahrenheit today.
Yeah, I didn't check that thermometer, and I haven't actually been outside, which is unusual for me. But I know my problem is I go by my plants and I have to check on all of them, and then I'm late for my show. So I was like, no, stay in the house, do your paperwork. Because
That's right, because it's earlier there. It's noon there, Pacific time, where it's 3 p.m. here, and it's 8 p.m. in British summertime. So,
wow.
Yeah, I was thinking about you before the show. I was out watering my plants,
Yay.
One of which is dead now.
Aww.
It's dead. It's all fried. So, question for you. Can we rebirth the plant once it's dead? I mean, is it worth keeping? It's in a pot. What do you think?
Well, you need to check the root, because with everybody, animal, vegetable, plant, all there, however they go through the world, as far as all the nutrients in a plant is at the roots. So yes, watering is important. What some people don't realize is they put a little water or they put a lot of water, and they need to be somewhere in the middle because you don't want to drown it And then it gets root rot, which if you don't know what root rot is, it's just what it sounds like. It gets so wet. And in your area, that's a problem because you got a lot of water and it
Yeah.
stays around in humidity and heat and it's still moist because it's your climate. I'm in a much more rural, I'm literally on a mountain. They build all these condos. I'm on top of that. So we get a little hotter, we get a little more wind. So my plants are really protected. I keep 90% on my patio, meaning I get to enjoy them. And the squirrels are driving me crazy. So, because they're just sure I have nuts and they're going to dig up all the plants. So just know what you have. If you like your place, I would say always water less, unless you're going to be on vacation. And you can get the little sticks that you put water in and it goes down little by little. As the soil dries, the plant pulls from those resources. So it just depends on what you have and what they can tolerate. If you're doing a bunch of sunflowers, yeah, let them dry out and then water 'em. But like one day, not
Right.
9.
Well, you know what I think is also a challenge, at least for me, is when you buy the plant, it comes in a pot, and then you put it in a decorative pot. And then between the pot and the decorative pot, that the water starts building up. And I know the plant's supposed to draw from it, but then it rains and you've got like 5 inches of water and nothing in the plant, and the plant's over. I don't know what happens.
Right.
But
Well,
I
and
think
that's why the pot becomes so important. You've got to get one, especially in your area with all this rain and sprinklers or whatever your go-to is. You have to have a pot with a hole in the bottom. You have to, because the water's got to go somewhere. Root rot is a thing. It's a real thing. And that just means the roots have sat in water for far too long. It's more than they can ingest. Is that a good word for a plant? To take that up through their leaves. Well, no, sometimes it's just too much. When there's rain here, believe it or not, it does rain in California also, is at a bucket load, is not just a regular time. I go out and literally, Dr. Jacalyn, I lay half the pots on their side. It's kind of messy. Some of the dirt comes with, but the problem is they're so overloaded with water. I can't take the whole plant out of the pot without hurting the plant. So literally I tip it over. And that's how I get it drained. And then depending on how much water's in there, I come back the next day or 6 hours later or 2 days later. I check on them every day. That's the honest truth. But what happens is the wet soil drops away from the side of the pot, creating a natural air vent, if you want, and lets that soil dry out. As opposed to what? Take the whole plant out, put new soil in, and you have all these piles of wet soil? No. Just try to create a pocket of air, at least in 2 or 3 places on your pot, so those roots can dry out on their own. If you can tip it over for the first 24 hours right after they've been drowned, great. You'll let that soil dry up a little.
Hey, that's great advice. I'm wondering if that is why sometimes I've seen, I think when I've gone to some of these plant stores, and the big box or the local ones, they would have rocks
Yes.
in between the soil. I guess it's the soil and the pot.
It's usually at the bottom for sure. And sometimes if you have such a lot of moisture like you do, they'll put some of the smaller rocks in the middle because you don't want the roots obstructed, and they got to go around all these rocks. And you want as much soil because that's their nutrients and that's what they're eating and feeding off of. So there's that balance. And I'm notorious for walking around. Again, I keep saying I live on this really rural hill, but there's tons and tons of places where there's just dirt. Guess where I find my rocks? In the dirt.
In the dirt, yeah.
And my kids are sometimes like, "What are you doing?" It's like, it's not like I'm taking them anywhere. I live here. It's
right.
a block away. I'll put them back if you feel better. But I get every kind of shape so that I can get some flat ones. I can get some big ones. I can get some light ones. And then I pretty much put them just at the base. I don't usually put them in the middle. But for you, you're dealing with a bigger problem. So you need a hole in your pots and the rocks.
And the rocks. Okay. All right. Good to know. I know we're going to talk about Earth Day, but I have one other comment about plants. We have an atrium here that my mother was crazy about. And so in the atrium, there are these huge pots that have, tall plants. I don't know what it looks like, a fern, and I forget what the other one is. But the water is almost up to the top because it rains in on there, and then it has no place to go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's huge, and the water smells. So I'll tip it over, and then it goes right into the ground. But I don't know how those plants are living. And, my mom passed away 8 months ago. They're still going strong. They're doing better than the ones outside. I don't understand it.
Well, and it could be they have adapted. Plants do adapt, not always. Got totally different plants, different things. The same with people. Somebody wants to live in the desert. Great, have at it. I don't want to live there.
Not us.
I grew up there. I don't want to live there. And my parents took me to Death Valley at least 3 or 4 times. I'm thinking, do you understand the name of this place?
Right.
Everybody died here.
That's right.
Because there wasn't a water source of, dig a hole, dig a hole. Well, how many holes? Your plants are making those same decisions. They're going, okay, my environment is humid, this. If you see mold on your plants, it's too much moisture. It's too much water. Can they be saved? Possibly. You're just going to have to work on it. What most people do, and I do, is I will cut the mold away, throw it away. Don't have those leaves interact with anybody because mold travels that way, and give the plant less moisture. And then I actually put little holes around, like I'm talking about the size of a pin. Can you see this? Yeah, size of a pencil or a pin. And I just do holes when they have been overlocked, especially if it's rained. And I don't have any choice but to leave the pots standing up. Otherwise, they're going to fall on the ground with no pot. So I have to get out there and drain it constantly.
Well, we're talking about plants, and as hopefully everyone realizes that we need plants because of the ability for us to breathe. That's a whole other story. But we're going to talk about Earth Day. So this is not a topic I have a lot of information about, but I know you do. Tell us, what is Earth Day? I believe it's Monday, isn't it?
I didn't look at the date, but yes, I believe it is.
Yeah.
It's something that I know everybody's really, really. I wonder if the European countries and any of the other, Italy or France or anybody else is doing Earth Day, but I believe it's worldwide now. Have you heard that?
I'm going to look it up while you're talking.
Okay, there we go. We have all the expertise in a Google search, and so Earth Day is a time where we can all just take that deep breath and cough and go through the process of saying, where does our food come from? Where do the trees get the idea that they should be 7 feet tall or 2 feet tall? Where is all the parts of the plants that take care of the atmosphere and clean that up? Now, there's so much we can do to help along. And what I hope everybody does is takes a time. If you're not a plant person and you don't want them in your house or outside, that's okay. There's so many other things you can do. And recycling is really important, however that manifests in your life. We have recycling now that comes straight to our house with our trash pickup. So that is really great. Do we still need to be doing better about actually recycling? Yes, because as some of you might know, and I don't want to say all, I want to keep it in a positive place. There's so many places that the recycling's picked up and then it goes straight back to a landfill because they're full. So we still have a lot to work on to coexist in this world. And part of that is knowledge. So I really appreciate everybody who is on our channel and shares and sends me these great messages. I love hearing from you. And of course, if you have a question about your pet or your plants, or you just want to say hi, bridgingworlds.us is my website. And you can ask me these questions the way Dr. Jacalyn and I do, sharing all this information with you. But find what you can do, because if you do something, that's the start. If you do nothing, nothing changes. If you do something, something changes. It can be brush your hair today, or it can be feed the dog so nobody else forgets to feed him. Take him for a walk. There's so many things that you can do, and small spaces. I
Absolutely.
would have, if I was looking at my life as a separate person, I would have thought I would have hated plants, absolutely abhorred them. And Dr. Jacalyn, can you think of any reason why one person would want to hate plants?
Because you
Who
have to
loves
take
plants? But
I know you love plants. And by the way, I did pull up earthday.org's website here.
wonderful.
The first Earth Day was in 1970.
Wow. Wow. And I was thinking it was going to be even later
And
because I
it's,
know it became really hot when I was in college.
yeah, and I'm just going to scroll down here, but there's a lot of good information here, earthday.org. And it's celebrated across, let's see, it says millions of Americans from all walks of life. And now it's a large civic event on Earth. So it is
Yeah. Yeah,
international.
because we've got all the other countries are doing it. And you just have to see in your area, what do you want to do? How do you want it to represent? That is totally up to you. If it's turning off your lights when you leave the room and you get into that great habit, because honestly, I promise you, your furniture and your cats don't care if you leave the light on or not. And there's little things you can do. Recycling is still honestly a controversy. I recycle like mad because I know that somewhere we're going to figure this out. But what came to light a couple years ago was that so many companies, the trash companies that are picking up the recycling, are just throwing them in the trash because the landfills are full or the recycling center is full. We have so much more we can do better on. So don't give up, everybody. Don't give up. Do what you can. Be as responsible as you can. Reuse what you can. I know we've gotten, fast food and it comes in a container because it was, I don't know, spaghetti or something we ordered from a restaurant. Well, I keep them. I use them for water dishes for the pets, and plot. When I've got a pot that I don't have yet, I put the plant in those containers. They're so versatile. And then when they crack and they're done, I recycle them. So just saying, there's many ways, as Dr. Jacalyn is scrolling through, see all these wonderful ways of support and changes you can make in your own home that are simple. Start there, get the habit of not wasting whatever resources, and we'll all get there in the end.
Absolutely. And there's here on this website, which I just happened to find this again, earthday.org.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't spoken to the people here, but there's a lot of information. You can contact them directly, info@earthday.org. So when we think about the things that we can do, I know one of the areas that we looked at on another show was sustainable fashion.
Mm.
So instead of constantly going out and getting new clothing, can you buy from a secondhand store? Can you donate to a secondhand store? A lot of the charities are collecting clothes for donation and furniture and other things. You can go and volunteer to clean up a beach or clean
Absolutely.
up an area near you. That I saw that on that website. So that's a great way to come together with other people for a good cause.
Well, yeah, and a lot of people don't think about, let me throw out there for all the parents and groups and organizations, how wonderful would it be to take our kids out to the beach to pick up trash, pick up rubber. Wrappers are the worst. I've done all of this stuff when I was growing up in our clubs. We would go out and clean a neighborhood or whatever, but we had gloves and we had a trash bag with us. And what was nice is we were teamed. So there was a couple kids together and we go around and clean up. And it's just so neat because the whole community, the neighbors started noticing because we would do it on a rotating basis over a few neighborhoods. And they would come out and say, gosh, I've been meaning to do that, getting all those leaves or get all that trash that's now in the leaves. Thank you so much. There's so many elderly and handicapped and maybe just somebody who's working 12-hour shifts constantly. And this kindness not only makes all our neighborhoods look better, but it also builds camaraderie and care for our neighbors. And I think we really forget that in this generation. I'm very lucky to be on a more than high note with at least my triangle of homes that I'm near. And it's wonderful because somebody comes by and say, hey, we've lost our dog. Well, we're all going to go look. Or do you remember, Dr. Jacalyn, the days of, hey, I need a cup of sugar. Okay, go talk to Nancy down the street. She'll give you some. My mom sent me on that errand at least 10 times.
Now, if you knock on a neighbor's door, they're like, what do you want? What do you want?
Yeah. Or they don't answer because they're afraid.
Right.
They're afraid, or they're seniors and they don't know. Can you imagine if you lived within, I don't want to say spitting distance, doesn't need to be that gross, but within distance of a visual distance or a couple of blocks around the neighborhood. And just think if your neighbor was literally housebound and they don't see anybody, even the delivery person for food just drops it off, or the nurse comes in and takes their blood pressure once a week or whatever. And the rest is television.
Right.
That's not a life made. And maybe they've had this miraculous life. I had a male teacher. It was our only male teacher in my entire elementary school. And he was all about animals. And so I loved having him as a teacher. But he was considered very gruff. He was like 6'2". So our little kids, that's pretty intimidating. But I saw him, I think, with my mother out in the grocery store. And he just was like a regular person. And I went, wait a minute. He's just like the rest of us. And they are. And they are. It's easy to be kind. It's easy to celebrate the earth. But we won't have one if we don't change the way we dispose of our trash. Recycle or don't recycle, it's still an issue. And do you have any plants yourself that you can help your butterflies and the honeybees and all of these things that create the food for us to have something to eat? So you don't have to put your flowering plants all the way at the end of your driveway because you're afraid of the bees. Remember, if they sting you, they die. That's not their go-to. So remember, we are the carnivores. They're just as afraid of us because we tend to swat them all and squish them. So if you can, plant a blooming plant that the honeybees can come and use. And they usually come in the heat of the day or the warmest on either side of a hot day. And it's wonderful. You can watch the bumbles, the little big fat ones, usually that are black with a little gold, and so many others. I am very fortunate to have put the huts together with a beekeeper and worked with a bunch of kids for years. And it was a miracle how wonderful and how courageous they were to be around the bees. We had them in suits, of course, and that helped the process.
I'm so glad that you bring up about the bees because people forget. They really do. And I have to say that here in this area, I mean, I don't want to jinx myself, please. I really haven't seen any bees. I mean, do bees come out during only a certain time in the year in Florida? I don't know.
Well, and that would be really interesting to, us to Google it because I didn't know. You have a lot of non-blooming plants. You have a lot of the what do they call them? Fronds?
Well, they're hedges. There's a ton of hedges everywhere you look. I don't know what that's called.
So you're not going to see any honeybees where there's no flowers. I mean, you need food. They need to come for food. It's the same thing as if you want to see a coyote, leave it at a steak. If you live in the mountain area, sure. But don't you dare do that if it's got poison in it or you plan to shoot it. That's just wrong. So if you want to see nature, you have to invite it because we are the carnivore. We are the killer. We are the one who brings smelly stuff, chemicals. If you've ever been around a pool right after it's chlorinated, it just smells. And I've actually gone swimming.
I just stopped swimming. Yeah. I don't know if I told you this, but I belonged to a gym and I was doing this. I don't know what it's called, but you're walking in the water. You have these like,
Mm,
and you have little hand weights, and it's a
mm,
great workout because you're going, and
right.
of course it gets deeper. And then there were other people in there, and things were, I mean, I'm not even going into it, but there were things floating,
In
and I
the
was like,
water.
oh my gosh, that was it. I mean, that was years ago. I never went in a pool again. I was done.
Well, yeah, because who needs that disease?
There's not
Whatever
enough
that is.
chlorine to take care of those floating things. I don't even want to know why they were in there. I don't even.
Exactly.
Okay.
I have the
Okay, let's
worst
not go.
joke in my head, but we'll tell you off screen. It's a little racy. It's like, how many times do you have to go to the doctor and say, no, 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 chlamydia, I didn't get it there. I got it from the pool. And they're like,
From
sure
the,
you did.
yeah, I bet you did. Exactly.
Blame it on the pool, Millie.
But you're right, because that chlorine, I mean, even on your skin, you could take
Yeah,
a shower, you still smell it coming
yeah.
off of you.
Well, and it's so terrible for everybody in their skin, but you have to have that balance.
Yeah,
You're
you
going to
gotta.
have all these sticky, stinky people. How many places have you been, even in your place, where they say take rinse off first? I would think
Right.
before you got in those, they would still require that. You
Right.
go to because it has those showers, rinse off. Because I remember as a kid, there was a lot of pools we went to. They made us go over and hose down before they let us in the pool. And that was important because you're getting not only you rinse the water, but you're also getting some of the dirt and let's say sweat of you getting there. It seems like nothing, but it might just help. So think about what you can do to help nature, what you can do to not necessarily, I'm not a huge advocate for putting out bird feeders. It can create a problem with other animals that want to eat the birds, and or the seed gets rotten and somebody then passes on an illness to the birds. But I also want people to realize that if you're feeding them nuts and all the things that you can get at a pet store and says this is good for this kind of bird, that's great. But how many trees and plants are not getting the attention that the birds need to give them? And by eating their seeds when they come in and then they defecate somewhere, guess what? It's compost, it's great soil, and a seed. And that's the way it's supposed to go. That somebody eats this, somebody digests this. Most seeds don't get digested, especially with birds. And then they defecate and the cycle starts again. And the soil does better, and we do better, and we breathe better.
By the way, I hate to say this, but I will. That defecation could be a meal for some species.
Absolutely. And we're not talking about the animal who's defecating. We're talking
Right.
about the poop.
Right.
And I want everybody to really enjoy that statement. No, she's talking about the poop. And it's rich in content. So let's say you make a smoothie and you put pineapple in it, and you put coconut in it, and you add a little citrus juice, and then if you're me, you put a little spinach in it and you blend it all up. There's nothing different. Just gone through the colon if they have one, and most animals do, especially if they're carnivores. So think about the process. What we don't want is people just throwing it outside, because if you throw it and there's a napkin and a straw, oh my gosh, don't even get me started on Coke cups and straws. They don't biodegrade like almost ever. And so we've got a lot of them in the ocean. We've got a lot of them in waterways, clogging up things. We've had animals get trapped in them, and they die pretty horrible deaths because they starve to death or freeze to death, whatever the climate has.
And to your earlier point, one of those survival shows, I don't remember which one it was a while back, but the people who were in the show
Mhm.
were actually eating defecation from certain animals because it had nutrients in it. And they
Yep.
talked all about it. That only certain species could you
Right.
go ahead and do that. And I was like, yeah, I don't.
Yeah, nobody paid me enough for that. Was it Naked and Afraid?
It was one of those. It wasn't
Oh,
Survivor. It was one of those like Alone where you're by yourself and
ouch.
you could win $1 million, and finally after day 30,
And
you're
then
like,
you'll be dead, but
right, it doesn't matter. Right?
because the show, I just scroll by those kind of shows. Like, yeah, no, I don't need to know any more about that.
I do have a lot of respect for people who do that, because if you
Absolutely.
think about, first of all, I'm alone a lot, but for me to be alone and naked outside, no, those are not coming together for
Yeah.
me at all. And
This is the shower room, and this is everything else.
exactly. So anyway, going back to Earth Day, for people who maybe are just joining us, it's an opportunity to celebrate all year. Actually, it doesn't have to be one specific day, but it's a way to get involved. It's sort of a reminder of taking care of our planet.
Yeah.
And so, if you think about cleaning up the beach or joining together, you can become part of a community to help clean up an area. What do you think about that?
I think it's really essential that we all do that at some point in our lives. It can be everything from you work a 20-hour day, you have small children at home, you don't have a car, you don't want to put your hands into dirt, which or trash, whatever holds you back from trying something new or being a part of something you find interesting, or it's a step of trying to get out of your own comfort zone, knowing that the job or the task or the volunteerism is doing good. What happens in our oceans is tragic, and we are paying the price in our regular water and the ponds and lakes as we are in the ocean. If you have never read or looked up, beluga whales are one of the sweetest animals. I'm sure you don't want to take them off, but they're giant and they look kind of like a whale, but not. But whales and belugas have run into fishing nets that the I don't know if the fishermen it broke, and of course they didn't go down and get it, or they just threw it over. That happens. They get cited every time they get caught doing that kind of stuff. But these animals that have blowholes, like whales and belugas, I think are don't have a blowhole, but they have the similar way of breathing. If you have to come up to get the water out of your air space and then you dive back down, what do you think it's like when you're feeding off the bottom or you're very close to it, and all of a sudden you go and you're curious and you see all this net and anchors and things like that, and you get tangled up in it? Then you drown. These animals literally suffocate to death. This is not a quick death. It is a very, very long, painful process. When we lose our fishing rod into the water and we don't go get it, or we leave a ton of line and there's a hook attached to it, or you decide to just throw it in there. God help me, there are people that do that. But these animals that live in these places, and if you're going to go to the mountains and you're going to wonder why one of the big bucks on the deer side is mad at you because he's trying to protect all of the females that he is in charge of and all the babies. Every time we shoot an animal, we're taking excuse me, probably the strongest one. And that's not good for the whole group. Excuse me. Too much talking.
That's okay. It happens. We've got
Well, I get more passionate, and more passionate is like, okay, I'm dropping out, because I am the one who watches all those National Geographics and studies up, and because I again, since a little kid, I love learning, and I love learning stuff I love about, but it makes me hate people because of their just hear no evil, see no evil, have no fun, speak no
right.
evil. They're just like, no, it's not my problem. Well, yeah, because you made it everybody's problem. But if you can understand that these animals actually die of suffocation. They don't die because the rope cut off their head or their fin. And we've seen plenty of dolphins and whale have just one fin. They can adapt, but it's not successful. No one will procreate with them. They won't have a pod necessarily protecting them anymore. It just depends, because this is how they get there. When the sharks eating them, they all protect each other. But to see these animals, specifically the ones with a blowhole in the top, go to the bottom, get tangled in a fisherman's net that they didn't go back to get, which is a law. You have to do that. And the Fish and Wildlife and fishermen in general are going around picking up things, or for whatever reason they're in that water. And a lot of times the body will come up to surface, and the pelicans and everybody and the seagulls will take advantage of that, which is great that nature's built that way, but it didn't have to happen. It didn't have to happen. And it happens to the babies. It happens to the adults. All of them are vulnerable because of the way we live our lives and how we treat the waterways.
And I love how you shared that it is the responsibility of the fisher man, woman, to go back and to get the nets. So
and it's a law now in so many places. I didn't know this until a couple of months ago. Again, watching a show on it, and you had the Fish and Wildlife guys out there in a boat checking everybody's license that was out there. And then they caught a guy coming up with scuba gear on, and they're like, "Hey, what's up?" And he's like, "Well, I dropped my net, can't get it out," and he is only in a scuba gear, not with a tank. So it can't necessarily stay down long enough.
Yeah.
So they cited him and said, "Well, you need to, we need to know this is out." And he had to bring proof. He had to bring the net out. Because it causes so much catastrophic death. All the fish, the turtles, the whales, they all get caught up in these nets. They don't know what to do with them. And they're made to be strong.
Right.
So it's not like they can bite it and say, "Oh, I'm free." This is worse than a zip tie.
We had somebody on from Spain, I believe, and they actually they do recycling of things that they find in the ocean, and they make it into furniture. So cool. But anyway, I had no idea that these nets, like if you think about a net, the nets are like miles long. Like it's not
two sizes of the boat they're in.
Yeah, they're huge.
At least. Yeah.
They're huge.
They're huge. And they are made of this really, really fine. Let me show you. I have a power cord sitting here, and it's a perfect example. It is the same diameter as my power cord in many, many places. And it's meant to be strong with a little bit of pull. How in the heck do you think that a animal with no thumbs, they got the teeth, but no thumbs to get it out, and now not an understanding of what is happening and why it's happening, because this is not native to their environment. Their great grandparents and parents and cousins and uncles didn't explain, "Hey, stay away from that stuff," because we already lost 3 family members. This is why we're having problems with diversity in so many animals. And what I mean is the DNA. So you don't want to have your mother having children with her son and the dad and all this. The DNA is too close. So it needs to be diverse. You got to go to another pod of whales, and you got to go to another sea of sharks, not the ones you grow up with or stay around with. That's how nature thrives, is by bringing in new resources. The honeybee goes from flower to flower to flower to flower and gets all this cute little pollen on his backside, her and his backside. And guess what? Then every flower they go to, they drop off some of that pollen from the plant. So if you don't have legs, get a buddy and have them help.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that there's something we can all do. It's just a matter of acknowledging it, taking responsibility for it, and saying,
Right.
Yeah, I want to be part of the solution. I want to figure out what I can do to make a positive impact. I wanted to just mention, because you and I talked about this briefly before the show, you have this great Facebook page that people can go ahead and be part of. I want you to talk about that, and I'm going to bring up your website.
Oh, great. Thanks. Yeah, all the links and everything about me is on my website, bridgingworlds.us. And Facebook and LinkedIn are the only two social medias I maintain anymore. I wanted quality over quantity. And Dr. Jacalyn and I do all the rest in between and around. This is my website. And if you look, Dr. Jacalyn, hopefully you can see a little orange kitty in that bougainvillea. The words kind of blur it, but she's in there.
I see her. She's,
Yeah, that's
where did I
little
see?
orange,
Right
little orange
here?
kitty. She's a little orange tabby, and I was just working on the website years ago, and was get out, hey, I've been looking at digits long enough, and she was hanging out in my neighbor's fence in Bougainvillea, and of course it's an orange tabby. I absolutely adore them, and
I love
so
it.
she posed. I got two or three, because
She's
you
right,
never
and
know.
she's right here. You can
Yeah,
see her.
yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And
I
here are
ask
your
everybody
links.
who opens the. I don't get very many people open the website in front of me, and I'm like, "Did you see the little kitty?" And they're like, "Where's the little kitty?" It's like, "Where's Waldo?"
Where's
For
Waldo?
me. So
Exactly.
yeah, everything's on my website. I wanted to have one easy place to see our shows, but also what is my background, what gives me the right to tell you what to do. I make suggestions, and I tell you why they are. But we all have to walk our path. And what I really want people to always walk away with is animals, insects, even the mosquitoes. Still don't understand them. Gotta work on that. They all have a purpose here. And we shouldn't feel like we have the right to just decimate their resources, refuse to have them in your presence because you don't like them. And now parakeets and big birds, Dr. Jacalyn, you must have to deal with them once in a while in your area. But these really loud birds, it's gone to the point where they're regulating people who live like I do in a condo. You can't have that because they're too loud. They keep everybody awake. I had a sun conure for 8-9 years. And my girls were like, "Mom, we can't do it. Maggie, he's
Can't take
always
it anymore.
talking." Well, and Maggie was very attached to me, of course, because I was her full-time carer. So if I'd walk down the hall or go out the door, all bird loose would go loose, and she would start screaming until I came back. And that's not no that and sun conures have a very high pitch, very high pitch. They're not very big. So I rehomed her with a family who was hard of hearing. And the
Ah,
woman who adopted her was actually full deaf. And so I told her, I don't think this is going to be a problem. She said, maybe for the neighbors.
well, see, that's great that you were able to find the
Exactly.
bird a new place to live. And I think everything we talked about today about Earth Day, about getting involved, about
Love it.
giving back, it's all about taking action. And I
Yes.
think when we sit back, what is it, throwing stones into glass houses? When we sit back and we're commenting on what everyone else is doing, what are we doing? What
Thank you.
can we do? And you've been with me since the very beginning, and I honor you for that. And for people who don't know, maybe they're joining for the first time, you and I met through LinkedIn
Yeah.
and did not know each other. I wanted to have somebody who was a psychic on our show, and I was drawn to you and your LinkedIn profile. And here we are. What is it, 3, 4? I don't even know how many years later it is, but you were with me when
Yeah.
I was rapping with Dr.
Oh, we're in
Jacalyn.
hundreds of episodes. I
It's
mean,
crazy.
the neat part is I haven't gone back in a while, but a few months ago, I went and looked at some of the old ones, and I mean the graphics and the topics were great, but all the work you've done to really you constantly were stepping up, and you were learning and constantly stepping up, and I've had people say, well, why don't you do your own show? I said, why? She's doing a fabulous job. I love her. I'm not going anywhere.
Well,
And
I've always said to you, you can do the show yourself. And you said, no, we're a good team. But I do want to announce while you're here, in case I haven't announced this before, about 2 years ago, I met a gentleman named Kirk. And I think we interviewed him. He started his own platform where he's celebrating ethnicity. So brown people, black people, yellow people, that's how he describes it. And it's Zizzle TV. And now we're partners.
oh, that's
So
wonderful.
his platform has over 300 destinations, including Samsung and LG. So it's a really nice fit. And so we continue to grow, and we celebrate everyone. And by the way, this show that we're doing, we used to, it was just, what did we call it? Pet Psychic Aminah show. And
no, but Pet Psychic something.
Pet Psychic something. We used to have guests on the
Yes.
show. And we've evolved in coexistence and sustainability. And I think you and I have a lot of fun talking about the topics anyway.
Well, and I kind of ran out of people, which was nice because we were able to promote what they were doing. We were able to really show what you and I are about, and that is sharing the wealth or struggling and getting there and starving together until we do.
Yeah, exactly.
And the learning curve has been tremendous. And, we've had malfunctions in clothes and hair and lighting, and all of that is just real. It's real.
It's true.
And we go from it there, and I hope people realize that. But I've got this fabulous list that I've started for you. We got new topics coming up. I really, really, really want to make sure everybody who has pets in and out, cats and dogs specifically, I am going to talk about some really dangerous trees out there that can, I'm going to say this quick, it can kill your pet. So we're going to talk foxglove. We're going to talk foxglove. And I'll get Dr. Jacalyn all the details, so she'll have the pictures. If you don't know what I'm talking about, most pet family members will. But it is really, really, really important when you bring your pets in from a walk, or your cat has been strolling around and you weren't walking with it, it just comes back. Make sure you brush them down, check their ears, check their paws specifically. Make sure if you've got a cat, you're checking the poop all the time. If you've got a dog, hopefully you're not letting him poop anywhere that you don't already pick up. So these are good clues on the health and well-being of your animals. It is for people. It is for pets. Animals will keep their injuries hidden because the way their DNA, the way they're put together is, if anybody out there knows my weakness, and they're talking about wild animals usually, because that's where they came from, then they're dead. So animals, cats are horrible. They hide everything. And so, you know what? Love them, pet them, and run your fingers through that fur. All of it. Get them over their back. Check out their bellies. I promise you, you'll save a life.
Thank you, Aminah.
Excuse me.
We'll be back next week to talk more about foxglove. And if you've missed any of our shows, please go to our YouTube channel, which is USA Global TV and Radio, and you'll look for the playlist Coexistence and Sustainability, and our shows are there. So thank you, my dear Aminah. I hope you have a beautiful weekend, and thank you for bringing up Earth Day 2024. And I look forward to seeing you next week.
Take care.
Bye. Thank you, everyone. Whether you're watching or listening on one of our platforms across the world, we do appreciate you. We have over 42 different shows. You can go to our website, usaglobaltv.com, and you can see the shows that we offer there. If you'd like to be a guest, why not? We love to support you and your story, hear about your journey. Go over to our website, usaglobaltv.com. Well, that concludes our shows for this week. I hope that you've enjoyed watching and listening. Please do reach out to Aminah. You can find her on LinkedIn. We have the contact information over there in the comments. You can also go to Facebook. You can go to her website, bridgingworlds.us. Actually, I misspoke. Guess what? We have another show tonight, which I forgot about, which is the Be Fit Project with Coach B. Join us for that at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you again. We're signing off now, and I hope that you have a beautiful weekend wherever you are in the world. Bye.
Women of the Caribbean and around the world, are you tired of the status quo? Tired of barely making ends meet? Tired of giving maximum effort for minimum results? Are you in need of change, a fresh start, a new outlook, a new perspective? It's time to break through. Join us along with women from around the world at the Empower Her Escape, a 5-day all-inclusive royal cruise to the Bahamas and Florida. Connect with world leaders and influencers and begin afresh your journey to more. Hear dynamic speakers with sessions on women in leadership, the importance of mentorship, how to start a business from the ground up, financial literacy, an integrated approach to wellness and wholeness, and so much more. Guest speakers include First Lady Anne-Marie Davis of the Bahamas, Her Royal Highness Katerina of Yugoslavia Lady de Silva, Her Royal Highness Queen Sekothali Mepena of South Africa, and Coach Max, Global Multi-Six-Figure Wealth Coach. Cruise packages include 2 nights at an all-exclusive resort, gratuities, taxes, and port fees, red carpet welcome and extravaganza, course materials, and a souvenir gift bag, flight not included. The Empower Her Escape Cruise takes place on May 15th through the 19th, 2024, departing from the port of Palm Beach, Riviera Beach, Florida. Hosts for this life-changing event are Coach Cherish Hollingsworth of Florida and Coach Mercy Gilbert of the UK. For more information, visit our website at www.empowerherroyalescape.com or call us at 954-203-6608 or email us at cherishresiliencecoach@gmail.com. Connect, collaborate, celebrate at the Empower Her Escape Cruise.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents our partner and sponsor, Mr. Philip Sykes and the British School of Excellence. Building confidence, changing lives. And now, proudly presenting the Polished Professional.
On a transformative journey with the British School of Excellence's comprehensive suite of masterclasses, crafted to elevate your professional and personal life. 8 outstanding modules will elevate you to the next level. Module 1, Exploring Life's Purpose, delves into the depths of self-discovery, guiding you to chart your unique path to fulfillment and success. Module 2, Mastering Professional Presence and Confidence. This masterclass is a deep dive into the art of self-assurance and commanding presence, which is essential for standing out in today's competitive landscape. Module 3, Learn the Secrets of Visual Impact, how to curate a personal style that amplifies your professional brand. Module 4, Mastering Professional Etiquette and Communication Excellence, navigating the nuances of corporate interaction with grace and tact. Module 5, Elegance in Eloquence. We impart powerful techniques to captivate and persuade any audience with your oratory skills. Module 6, Unlock the Potential of Your Emotional Intelligence, EQ, and harness the ability to connect, empathize, and lead with emotional savvy. Module 7, Mastering DISC, building a gateway to understanding behavioral styles, fostering better personal and professional relationships. Module 8, Mastery in Dining Etiquette, building your confidence to perfect the subtleties of dining with finesse, enhancing your social savviness at any table. Step into the Polished Professional program where poise, elegance, and excellence aren't just taught, they're instilled for life. Join us to redefine your potential and polish your professional edge.
To learn more, go to thebritishschoolofexcellence.com. The British School of Excellence are investors in people. Let us invest in you.